From video games that take you to the depths of insanity to titles that are terrifying on sight and sound alone, there have been a lot of scary games over the years. I'm Bob from World 5 List. Join me as I reveal to you 10 of the most scary video games that were ever made. Number 10, Until Dawn. Now, I'm going to begin my list with a game that's pure horror in every single way possible, but it's also true and personal. Now, Until Dawn didn't exactly hide that it was a horror game, but how it shows its horror is what makes it so special. On the surface, it plays out like your typical teen horror movie. Some friends go up to a cabin for the weekend, they're all alone, and you just know that something bad's going to happen, but you also have the power to affect what's going to happen, whether you like it or not. And no, I don't mean like killing the bad guys. It's more like making decisions that will affect everyone. And I do mean everyone. That's because as the events unfold, you're going to have to make really hard decisions that are going to influence whether some people live or die, including yourself. The wrong move, well, that's going to lead to disastrous consequences, and that in itself is completely terrifying. Number 9, the Dead Space Saga. Dead Space kind of begins like an alien movie. Set in space, a crew is overrun by an unknown alien presence, but that's only the beginning of your insanity. Dead Space is scary because of the setting, the tone, and its use of sight and sound. Now, Dead Space isn't one of those franchises you can just run through willy-nilly to get finished, because that in itself will get you killed. Instead, you have to be really tactical, precise, and you also need to stay alive. That's the other thing, especially in the first game. You're not really all that equipped to fight the monsters that await you. You're an engineer and have to craft what you use. And notice that I waited this long to talk about the necromorphs. That's because the monsters are just one terrifying aspect of the whole saga. These creatures are scary to look at, scary to fight, and also hard to kill. They adapt, they just keep coming, and you'd never know when or where you're going to see one next. Number 8, Amnesia: The Dark Descent. It begins exactly how you believe that it would, with your character waking up with a really bad case of amnesia, and now you have to find out who you are, where you came from, and why you're there. Oh, and why the monsters are trying to attack you. There are several elements that make the game scary, but one of them is the unique gameplay mechanic that involves your mental health. It's something that can be measured, and depending on how strong or how frail it is really going to affect your actions. That means that hiding and hoping that everything's going to be okay isn't going to work. It's going to terrify you. Also, the monsters are absolutely scary. Not only do they look the part, but they're also relentless in their pursuit. I already mentioned that hiding was not an option, but these monsters make that statement a reality. Amnesia breaks the mold by having monsters be relentless, and that includes ripping out doors to the rooms that you're hiding in. Any way that you look at it, this game reeks of fear and terror, so if you do want to play it, you really should know what you're getting into. Number 7, BLOODBORNE. Now let me ask you, are you terrified enough yet? Let me know in the comments below, and also subscribe while you're here. For those of you who don't know or have never played it, BLOODBORNE was made by the same team who did Dark Souls, which is another game I could have put on my list, but for different reasons. It was clear, however, that with BLOODBORNE, they wanted to go really deep and dark. First off, we talk about the setting. The game is in a gothic city known as Yharnam. The place is dark, it looks broken down, and most of all, the currency? Well, it's blood. Blood of all things. Who does that? Moving on, BLOODBORNE also has some absolutely terrifying characters, not just in the people, but also in the monsters that you end up fighting, and the beings that await you on your journey. Speaking of which, the journey in itself is also terrifying and is brutally difficult, which makes many people happy, but also scarred. Finally, there's not one, not two, but 3 different endings that will either terrify you to your core or blow your mind and leave you wondering what happened. Number 6, F.E.A.R. Now, of course, we have to have a game on our list that has fear in its name. What began as a simple mission to kill a rogue soldier would become a complete battle for survival against a paranormal force that is beyond much of what we see in any other video games. And her name is Alma. Through the use of setting, scenes, and live action, we get to experience the true terror that is Alma. She's small, she's powerful, and she wants to meet you. F.E.A.R is a perfect example of how scary that games can be used perfectly in any genre. And yes, shooters have been known to be horror titles, but not like this one. This was something else. After witnessing Alma's power, you become instantly afraid of where she's going to pop up next, and that's discounting all of the other things that you have to be afraid of. Oh, and don't blink during that ending. Number 5, PT. Now, I may be cheating a little bit here, but PT does deserve a spot on my list, because in one short demo, Hideo Kojima and Guillermo del Toro proved why they should still make a Silent Hill game, and the demo was for that franchise, but then Konami, the owner of the Silent Hill franchise, decided to publicly fire Kojima, which would lead to fallout on numerous levels, and also meant that that game was canceled. Now, as for PT, it became one of the most downloaded demos of all time, and that was even before Kojima got fired. The demo was absolutely terrifying, using its setting along with camera tricks to make you jump out of your chair in a whole lot of ways. Kojima and Del Toro did know exactly what they were doing in terms of bringing the horror to bear, but the true terror and horror here is that we'll never get to see the finished work. Number 4, Resident Evil. Now come on, you had to know that Resident Evil was going to make it, right? Now, much like Dead Space, I could have put an entire franchise here for Resident Evil, but if I'm being honest, the true scary factor of the franchise has ebbed and flowed a little bit over the years. But the one title that everyone agrees was terrifying and downright scary when it came out was the original and true Resident Evil. This was made back in the days of those 3D cheesy graphics, but it still managed to deliver the horror of its setting and creatures. You play as either Chris Redfield or Jill Valentine, and you have to work your way through the Spencer mansion in order to figure out what happened to the teammates on the edge of Raccoon City. Now, it is of course just the beginning of the journey, and what you find inside the mansion, it's downright horrifying. Though it did struggle to maintain the primal essence of fear over the years, Resident Evil stands as a testament to the genre. And if I'm speaking personally, I didn't make it 10 minutes into the game before I turned it off and threw it out the window. Number 3, Alien Isolation. Proving that games can bounce back from failures, Alien Isolation is by and large one of the scariest games that was ever produced, and it terrified just about everyone who touched it. But why? Well, because it understood what the Alien franchise was, or at least was in the first 2 movies. It's not about the violence or the death or even the alien itself. It's about the fear factor. The fear of knowing that somewhere around you is an alien who's hell-bent on killing you and will kill you unless you're ready to get the heck out of its way. So, what made Alien Isolation so scary? Well, there was actually no safe place and no safe action in order to get rid of the alien. It can't die, it's always coming at you, and you have to both be mindful and quick to escape from it, because it can come out of anywhere and everywhere, and when it does, it makes your heart jump. But here's a fun fact for you. The developer, Creative Assembly, actually put 2 AI brains into the model of the alien in Isolation in order to help make it both more terrifying and even more smart. Yeah, because that's what you need, a smarter alien. Number 2, Eternal Darkness. Sometimes the best way to mess with a player's head is to show that you're going to be messing with their head. Eternal Darkness is one of the best horror games out there, and all it really had to do was screw with the players and their perception of fear. Silicon Knights developed a unique experience that set around various time periods, different main characters, and best of all, a sanity meter. At times, it was really hard to tell if the sanity meter was measuring your character's sanity or your own. And best of all, when the meter started to drop, the game would react properly. And by properly, I mean that it screwed with you to make you think that something was wrong with the game, when in fact, it was just you. Some of the classic things they did was make the screen go blank, quote-unquote kill your character. They would actually mute the game to make you think your television was malfunctioning, and a whole lot more. Making it through the game was an absolute trek, and if you did, you likely weren't exactly eager to try and play it again. Number 1. Silent Hill 2. Now, Silent Hill, just like Resident Evil, creeped me out to the core, but it also started off as a purely satisfying horror franchise. But in later entries, the fear factor just wasn't there. However, the magnum opus, and its greatest entry and scariest one to date, has to be Silent Hill 2. This game played on both fear and physical and also psychological ways. You play as James Sutherland, a man who mourns the loss of his wife, and not related to Kiefer, until he gets a letter from her saying that she awaits him in Silent Hill. When he arrives, he's immediately besieged by both monsters and other terrors that are going to make your jaw drop. The twists and turns that this game takes are astounding, and I won't spoil it for you, but I will say it's part of the reason that it's at the top of my list. Thanks for watching. Have you played any of the games on my list? And if so, which ones? Tell me about it in the comments below and subscribe today, and I'll see you next time.